Sound check. Sound check. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this regular council meeting of the City of Port Alberni to order at 2 o'clock, November 13th. We are on recess from our in-camera session earlier today. Just want to take this opportunity to say we are fortunate to gather together here today and have our meeting on the unceded traditional lands of the Hoopachesit and Sayshot First Nations. We have an agenda as circulated. Do we have any late items by councillors? Councillor Solda?
Yes, I would like to add, oh, this is really loud. Not used to that. The squash court, I'd like to have a discussion about the squash court and a discussion about the port pub and the pool.
So just for clarification, it is the Courthouse Racket Club you were talking about?
That's correct.
Rack and Rally, I believe is what it's called now. Okay, and the Port Pub and
And the pool.
the pool.
And maybe a discussion an update on the Fourth Avenue so the public will know too, please. And thank you.
We will put Councillor Solda's requests under L3 under new business, I believe. That would be quite all right. Is there any other items from councillors for this meeting to add? No. Do we have any late items identified by the corporate officer?
No late items, Chair Mealy.
Thank you very much. Just want to let everybody know we are live streaming, recording, and broadcasting on YouTube. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda as circulated now with late items. Councillor Solda and Councillor Douglas with a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Adoption of minutes, we have the special meeting held at 11 a.m. and regular council meeting held at 2 p.m. October 23rd as presented.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt Councillor Solda, second Councillor Patola. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. We do not have any delegations today by the looks of it. No unfinished business. Staff reports, we have the accounts. Councillor Solda.
I'd like to move that the certification of the Director of Finance dated November 13th, 2023 be received and checks numbered 153797 to 153917 and inclusive in payment of accounts totaling $2,812,434.84 be approved.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dame, a seconder. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And next up, we have bylaws. We have 2023-2027 financial plan bylaw amendments. And who would like to speak on that? Mr. McGifford or Mr. Fox? Staff of some sort.
Thank you, Chair Mealy. So what we have in front of council today is the recommendation for some amendments to finalize any amendments that we do have on our 2023-2027 financial plan. So with that, I'll walk through the amendments that we have proposed and recommended to council and get any questions or feedback after I walk through them all. So with the first one, there is the sewer crawler, which is an item that's been on the financial plan since 2021, pushed back for various reasons depending on priorities that were needed in the sewer service. With that, we've now included the actual cost of the proposed unit that the sewer services is looking to undertake and purchase. That is about $35,000 more than we had in the financial plan, which was $80,000. So this is providing a budget of $115,000. This is all the taxes and all the requirements for this unit to be used for sewer services. And with that, all the funding will come from the sewer fund. So it's not a taxation item. What we can do is we can pull reserve funds from sewer to utilize this purchase if council supports the recommendation that's in front of you today. Skipping over B, that was a housekeeping one that was completed in May. I added this also to this report, so I apologize for that, but we've already completed that one back in May of this year. On to number C that we have. This is a request for council to support the Somas Mill demo work that we're undertaking. We've come a lot farther than we anticipated as far as the work. We've received quite a bit of salvage funding from the work that's been done on the site, and with that, it's enabled us to basically offset the cost of the work that's being done. Moving forward, we're looking at some higher risk items that we're undertaking at the site, and this is asbestos remediation. So it's a costly endeavor, but we still anticipate that we'll receive some revenue, but there's no guarantee with this. But this will reduce the risk of any costs and mitigate any costs if there was any event on the site. So the sooner we get this down, the better it is for us, and we're not sure of the revenue. So what we have in front of you today, council, is a request for the $550,000 The funding will come from our land sale reserve. At this time, it does not have the funding required to cover the expenses, but it will once we have a couple sales materialize. It's just a timing issue, but we need to have the funds available to undertake this work. So we're asking that council support the recommendation, and then after this one, there's a request for an internal borrowing, which we can do as a city and municipality, as long as that fund is made whole. So our water services fund, our water infrastructure fund has enough funding in it to enable this to occur. With that, there's interest that would be incurred on this fund, the land sale reserve, and that would be payable back to the water fund. So this will enable us to take down all the buildings that we anticipate on the SOMA site, mitigate the risks that we have remaining. With our development partner, we're seeking a few buildings to remain, but this will really just set us up to complete all the work that we need to undertake at this time. With the anticipation that there will be revenue, but that revenue would not be guaranteed by any means. But we've seen that benefit as we've had some demolition on that site. And this is for all the works above ground. So as I mentioned, moving on to D, there's a request for that internal borrowing. And the final one is the amendment to the capital plan. And this is for the Lawn Miles Recreation Park work that was done for the Baseball Nationals this past summer. The expenditures that we actually incurred for that have been lower than anticipated. We scoped the work a little bit and did that with internal resources to pull that off and realize some savings by doing that. So what we've seen is $140,000 unspent in that capital project. But knowing that council had some desire to look at other fields in the community in the upcoming year, and with the funding available, we're seeking a recommendation that allows these funds to work on some of the softball fields at Echo Minor, in the Echo Park area. So some higher priorities at that site. I know the parks manager turned this around pretty quickly. We'll consult with minor softball to make sure that we have their input on this, but we would like to get this done as quickly as we can in 2023 to have these fields ready for the 2024 softball season. So as financial plan amendments go, these are recommended to council. We consolidate at the next meeting with all the recommendations, resolutions that have been approved by council, and make that amendment to the financial plan on the consolidated, and then final adoption at our last meeting in December for the year. And that sets the final financial plan for the year. So with that, I turn it back to council if there's any questions. Chair Mealy.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. And I just want to state right off the bat, kudos to city staff, kudos to the parks manager, and kudos to our employees for saving that much money in that project, doing things a little differently, and able to save that money. And then not only that, also understanding the pressures that council have on from other groups, such as minor softball, and accommodating them with the additional money. So I do really appreciate the work that staff has done here. Councillor Solda, and we'll start there.
All right. So I just want to talk about the $550,000 coming out of the land reserve, which is a zero balance, and we're going to be borrowing it, just make sure I'm clear, from the water infrastructure, correct?
Chair Mealy, that's correct. The funding, our reserve for the water infrastructure has the capacity to allow this to occur with interest due back to its account. That's foregone if it was invested.
All right, so my other question, where I'm going with this is the sewer fund, didn't we borrow money from the sewer fund too, just to make sure I'm going in the right path?
Chair Mealy, that is correct, Councillor Solda. We made that recommendation to council, but understand that the recommendation was only to be used if needed. We did not need to borrow from other accounts for sewer. But if all projects that we undertake are expended, we would have had to. Timing, that project that we anticipated borrowing for didn't have the full spend, so that allowed us not to borrow in that situation. And again, this is the same case. If we do not need to borrow funding from the Water Infrastructure Fund, we would not. We would take any salvage revenue that we receive to offset that, but we're not sure at this time. We just need the financial capacity to undertake this. I can't allow the work to go proceed unless I have the financial capacity, and we don't have that at this time, but we may have that.
All right, I do understand all that. I still have other questions here. So, and I understand that we will get it back into the water reserve eventually. And I do understand with the land, when the developer comes, we'll have the money too on top of that. And I understand the safety part of it. I'm just a person that likes to have a cushion and the zero in the land reserve. I know there's land that we can sell and will sell eventually. So I just feel uncomfortable with the zero balance in the land sale, and I have voiced that before. So my next thing, going down the list there on the Parks and Rec, I'm really glad that we have consulted organizations regarding which park to finish and to do, and I'm really happy with that. But for next year's budget, we do have other parks that still need to be worked on. Will there be money in the budget to allow this to happen for the other parks? I just want to make sure we touch that too.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Chair Mealy, through to Councillor Solda. So just to be clear, I can't confirm that we've consulted with minor softball yet, but I apologize if I led to that assumption. What I can tell you is that we will consult with them on the field to make sure that they understood. That may have occurred at this time, but I just wanted to make sure that was clear. As it comes to the other requests that council might seek in the upcoming year, it would come forward with all the other requests. So council would have the ability to review the financial impacts on the whole across all the projects that we need to prioritize for the upcoming year, understanding that could be a parks request from council to seek improvements on other parks. So I know that we're working through some of our capital plan right now with the managers that are responsible for those different parks or different facilities or engineering. So we've heard council, we've heard the public, and we'll bring back the packages that we require to upgrade our fields on the capital side. So I know that's something that Parks and Recreation is looking at.
Okay, and thank you.
Councillor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Wow, that mic is hot, isn't it? Wow. So is there, Director Wickeford, is there any reason why we have both recommended motions C and D? So we're borrowing for the SOMAS from the land reserve, and then we're borrowing from the land reserve from the water fund. Why don't we just borrow from the SOMAS from the water fund?
Chair Mealy to Councillor Patola. That is a recommendation of staff. What we're trying to do is show that transparent transaction through the land reserve. The land reserve is what we've sourced a lot of the ability to purchase property in the past at the SOMAS site, and the anticipation that we would replenish that with the sale of land through the sale at SOMAS. So the water reserve is for water purposes. So it's a separate fund. It's for the water infrastructure and not for land sale. So we're just making sure that we're having that trail through from the land sale reserve, so that when funds go back, it goes back into that reserve. So it might seem like it's kind of a weavy path to get that funding for this, but it's the intent is to show that the transactions that are down at the SOMAS are done through the land sale reserve, if that. But as far as what council would like us to do, we could take direction if there's any alternate direction that's sought.
Oh, thank you, Director. I understand and appreciate the transparency as it is. Could you tell us what the current amount of borrowing for the SOMAS project is?
Chair Mealy, there's no borrowing from the land sale reserve. What we've had is an allocation of $650,000 in 2023 to work on the SOMAS. And that, you know, depending on the result of whatever happens at the SOMAS as far as land sales in the future, there would probably be a recommendation to replenish the reserves that that supported that purchase. And that would include the 650, but not realizing that, we don't have that borrowing at this time, but the funding for work done on the SOMAS has been provided through the land sale reserve, essentially.
Yes, Councilor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So then perhaps my question should be, do we have a ongoing tally of the work that we've done on the SOMAS lands? How much have we spent aside from the original purchase price?
Thank you for that clarification, Chair Mealy, through to Councillor Patola. So in this current year, we have, it's in the staff report, but we have it's kind of segregated in three different components. And within that, we've expended, I think it was just over $900,000 in expenditures. But we did receive a grant of $1 million, and we had a commitment of $200,000 from the city to work on the underground remediation, and we spent about a third of that. There's the other components such as project management for the site. So we had a project manager, and now we have a project manager internally. We've had security. That was about $450,000 of funding that we allocated to that work this year. And once again, that was coming from the land sale reserve. And the third component in the staff report is the demolition of our buildings above and salvage. And between the two, it was about $730,000 of revenue that received, but only expenditures of 610. So we have a net of 120,000 to the positive for all the salvage work that we've done on the site.
Just before you continue, Councilor Patola, and I apologize, just because the people online may not see the package. So, and Mr. McGifford, you're like right on the money, so I appreciate you. So provincial grant CPA contribution was 1.2 million. Expenditures are 404,945. The funding remaining is 795,055. Through the funding of the land sale reserve fund, allocation was 450,000. Expenditures are 194,726, leaving us 255,274. And then the final one, and Mr. McGifford's right on, it's 730,911 for revenue and demo expenses. Expenditures to this point is 610,806, leaving us 120,104. So just for the people online. Councilor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the one item that's not recorded, a non-cash item, would be the amount of foregone taxes for the year by the city owning the property instead of a private owner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Mealy, and to Councillor Patola. So when it comes to tax rolls are based on the values in the community. And that's what we receive our funding from. So yes, we don't have that as a taxable asset at this time. But as far as taxation, the city needs taxation across all its services and capital plans. And we have that tax requisition every year. So that's removed from the roll, yes. It's not producing that tax revenue. But what happens in that case is the city taxes for whatever it needs to accomplish the financial plan. That is, sorry if I'm not being clear on this one, because I don't view that as tax loss per se. It's just, it doesn't dilute the tax impact to the property owners. So with that in place, that allows us to tax at a higher, at a lower level to a greater basket of properties across the community. We still get the tax revenue that we anticipated that we need. It's just we don't have that in the tax roll. So, you know, at the time when that was in the tax roll and it was owned by Western Forest Products, it was about $575,000 per year from the SOMAS site. So that is now out. The taxes that are needed are spread across lesser properties, but we've also seen non-market change in the community where that allows us to have greater values in the community to spread out that. So it's kind of a balancing, and we've seen that with some adjustment in our tax burdens across each classification, whether it's residential, commercial, major industry or light industry. It's all been rebalanced over the last couple of years as we've seen that property pulled out from the tax roll.
Thank you, Councilor Patola. Any other questions for staff before we get into the motions? All right, if not, I'm looking for, we have recommendations in front of us. If any councilor would like to, Councilor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move that council amend the City of Port Alberni 2023-2027 Financial Plan Bylaw number 5075-2023 by allocating an additional $35,000 from the Sewer Infrastructure Reserve Fund to the Sewer Crawler 2023 Capital Plan.
We have a seconder, Councilor Solo with a seconder. Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. As noted, B is a scratch, so we don't have to worry about that. That was already done at a previous council meeting. So we have C. Councilor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that council amend the City of Port Alberni 2023-2027 Financial Plan Bylaw number 5075-2023 by allocating an additional $550,000 from the Land Sale Reserve Fund in 2023 to complete remaining demolition at the SOMAS mill site and secure the buildings required for the development partner as requested.
We have a seconder, Councilor Soldo. Any further discussion on this? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Councilor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that the Land Sale Reserve Fund borrow internally from the Water Infrastructure Reserve Fund as required until properties sales replenish the Land Sale Reserve Fund with any interest foregone during the time of borrowing to be repaid from the Land Sale Reserve Fund.
Do you have a seconder? Councilor Soldo, seconder. Any further discussion on this? Not, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Why not, Councilor Patola?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Finally, I move that council amend the City of Port Alberni 2023-2027 Financial Plan Bylaw number 5075-2023 by allocating $140,000 to Echo Park field upgrades in the 2023 capital plan from funding allocated to lawn miles and recreation park field upgrades.
Seconder, Councilor Soldo once again. Once again, kudos to staff. Thank you very much. Look for those upgrades. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. McKifford. Next up, we have correspondence for action. It's the Vancouver Island Regional Library Board requesting submissions for the 2024 appointment of the representatives for the Board of Trustees. Now, Councilor Patola sits on as we speak. And who is the alternate? It is Councilor Haggard. Are you willing to stand again, Councilor Haggard, as an alternate? Alrighty then. So if that's the case, can I have somebody move number 1 for Councilor Patola and the second one for Councilor Haggard? Councilor Dame.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'll move that. I move that pursuant to the Library Act, Council appoints Councilor Patola as the City of Port Alberni's representative to serve on the Vancouver Island Regional Library Board of Trustees for a term ending December 31st, 2024.
Do you have a seconder? Councilor Soldo. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Councilor Dame.
And I also move that pursuant to the Library Act, Council appoints Councillor Haggard as the City of Port Alberni's alternate representative to serve on the Vancouver Island Regional Library Board of Trustees for a term ending December 31st, 2024.
Second again, Councilor Soldo. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next up, item 2 is the Alberni Clayoquot Métis. It's Louis Riel Day, an email dated November 1st. Elected leader of the Alberni Clayoquot Métis, Jay Graham, requesting that the Métis flag be flown at City Hall. Do we have a counselor? Counselor Solda.
Motion to concur with the request?
Motion to concur. Do we have a seconder? Counselor Haggard. So that is to authorize the Alberni Clayoquot Métis request that the City Hall fly the Métis flag on November 16th in recreation of Louis Riel Day through to November 20th, and I believe that flag is here at City Hall as well. So any other further discussion on this? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Proclamations. Ministry of Children and Family Development asking that Council proclaim the month of November 2023 as Adoption Awareness Month in Port Alberni. Councillor Douglas.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to make a motion that Council proclaim the month of November 23rd as Adoption Awareness Month in Port Alberni.
Do we have a seconder? Second that. Councillor Haggard. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next up, we have correspondence for action, items A through O. And if council would like to pull any out and talk about any, now is your time. Councillor Dame?
Thank you. Yeah, I would like to bring up the letter from the Nanaimo Regional Hospital District request for support. And I would, there is an included motion I just need to bring up here, but if it's appropriate, I would like to make that motion. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me yet. That is page 49. Thank you. And so the motion is, as suggested, next page, is it 51?
Bottom of 52? Bottom, or sorry, page 52 perhaps?
Is it 52? Apologize, everyone. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I move that the Port Alberni Council provides a letter of support directed to Health Minister Dix for the Nanaimo Regional Hospital District priority capital projects, including the new patient tower and cardiac catheterization lab to be located at the Nanaimo Regional General Hospital.
Alrighty, that's a motion from Councillor Dame, second by Councillor Haggard. Do we have any discussion on this? Anyone would like to? Councillor Douglas.
Sorry, yeah, just a little bit of a background if we could from Councillor Dean.
Councillor Dame, you go right ahead. The letter is included from Ian Thorpe, the chair, as a part of our package, but Councillor Dame, if you'd like to speak on it, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the letter outlines the desire of the Nanaimo Regional Hospital to add some new facilities and buildings to their current facility. And I personally support what they're proposing, as it would allow a much shorter commute for our local residents who are seeking cancer treatment and cardiac treatment, who currently mostly would have to go to Victoria or Vancouver for those services. And so bringing it closer to home seems like a good thing for us, to me. So, yeah.
Very, very good. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Douglas?
Thank you. And the reason I asked is because it's, yeah, it's a really good move in the right direction. But a lot of people don't realize how much we do have to go out of town for these sort of issues. So it's nice to bring it to their attention, and also to bring to the attention of the Regional Health District that we need those procedures and the option to have them in this community as well at our hospital. A lot of people think that we have a CT scanner, and we do, but it's very limited in its scope. And so I really appreciate this being brought up by Councillor Dame, because it's a conversation that we can carry on with our community to get more services brought to the Alberni Valley, period, as opposed to even having to go to Nanaimo for them. So thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Councillor Douglas. Councillor Solda on the motion? Were you waiting, you want to pick something out later? Yeah, absolutely. So there's a motion as been presented by Councillor Dame. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Back to the correspondence for information, Councillor Solda.
I just want to bring up the ABICC, the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities request for resolution submission, and the deadline date is January 4th, 2024. There is time sensitive because staff would have to help write it and then be submitted. So just to remind everybody, if there's anything, please get it out there.
Thank you, Councillor Solda. Councillor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to highlight item 1M, the Vancouver Island Regional Library letter that speaks to the Board of the Regional Library reopening and reviewing the operating budget. There was a significant increase in the budget this year, I think 18% across the board, and that simply has been communicated as being too much. And the executive is reopening the budget. It may not come before the full board directly, but the executive is certainly looking to review that and bring those numbers down. And along those lines, I did ask, and I don't know if there's any information that the corporate officer, deputy corporate officer might have with regards to a delegation from the executive director of the library board that I had requested they communicate with and set up.
Corporate Officer.
Thank you, Chair Mealy. So we have extended an invitation as a delegation, and I know that they are reviewing it and going to get back to us with a date shortly.
Thank you, Councillor Patola. Any other discussion on correspondence and information at this time? If not, can we have a motion to receive the correspondence? Councillor Dane, second. Councillor Patola, on to receipt. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Alrighty, no reports are in camera. Councillors' reports. And is anything there that any councillor would like to pick out at this time and discuss? Councillor Douglas.
If I may, thank you. We've got a very short report from myself. I'm not sure if we can show it on the big screen there. And it's a very happy occasion. Unlike, some of the topics we discuss are not, or they're very serious. So I'm happy to report that our previously very popular polar bear swim at Canal Beach, Tepas Beach, is being rehabilitated and returning to our shores on New Year's Day in 2024. And you can see the happy faces of all the people there involved plunging into the water. Much of this is due to the perseverance of the main sponsor, Peak Radio, who deserve our thanks, and of course the participating city staff, who have provided a great deal on the organizing end of things. We haven't had a polar bear swim for, I believe it's been about 3 years, much of that due to COVID. Over the next 2 months, we'll be gathering our community volunteers to make it a smashing success, bringing back much needed attention to our neglected beach, and hopefully some community inspiration for our redecking the pier project. Part of that success will depend on invitations being sent out to all of our First Nation neighbors and all of our regional representatives from the ACRD. In addition, many service groups and various first responders and nonprofits traditionally take part and help ensure a happy time and a safe environment. We have teams that compete and dress up and adds to the mix, and we'll have information coming up on local media as the new year approaches. And in that regard, I was talking to our esteemed colleague and fellow councillor Todd Patola, and he was trying to help me form a rather informal motion that I'm not sure if you want to help me on this, Todd. I think he's going to leave me hanging out here in the wilderness. But that upon the return of our polar bear swim, that the city council welcome that return, and at the same time send an invite and maybe even a challenge to all the members of the regional district and our Seashot and Hupitchesut First Nation members, and invite them to come down and join us on New Year's Day. And that's a very rough motion. I gather that Councillor Patola is going to add some words to this effect.
Councillor Patola, like to say something on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm quite surprised that Councillor Douglas, with his long in the tooth experience on city council isn't able to draft his own motions off the top of his head like the eloquent linguist that we know him to be. But in lieu thereof, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that council direct staff to write a letter to the Polar Bear Swim in support of the Polar Bear Swim occurring January 1st, 2024, and that letter be circulated as an invitation to representatives of all local governments, including First Nations, ACRD, Minister Osborne, and MP Johns. Thank you.
And
That
if
is
I
motion.
may,
Do we
I'd
have a
like to second that.
Okay.
Thank Councillor.
I have a
Patola.
question, and merely because it's the way it is written, it says the Polar Bear Swim at Canal Beach is being rehabilitated and returning. One says it is being rehabilitated, and one says it is happening. Is it being rehabilitated, or is it actually happening, or?
As Councillor Patola suggested, my wording skills have fallen greatly in past years, so we could eliminate the rehabilitating and just stick with the returning. And just to add to it as well, we've had a lot of interest just over the last week or so. BC Ambulance is on board. Our local Alberni Valley Rescue Squad is on board. Our local Marine Coast Guard volunteer is on board. The Kinsmen are coming tomorrow to a meeting to see if they can join up. So there's a lot of people really interested in bringing it forward, and hope we can really make it as I said, a smashing success.
All right, thank you very much. Councillor Solda.
All I can say to you is Cindy does not do cold. Thank God I'll be in warm country at that time, just so you know that. And I hope you have a great swim.
All right, there is a motion on the floor, as said by our councillors here. Any other discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Is there anything else on councillors' reports that we'd like to pull out and talk about? If not, I have a motion to receive those reports. Councillor Solda, seconder, Councillor Patola. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. New business now. We have one, Truck Loggers Association Convention, BC Economic Development Association Summit. We have a report dated October 25th from Deputy Director of Corporate Services requesting council authorization for member attendance at the Truck Loggers Association and the BC Economic Summit. The first motion is that Mayor Minions is going to attend, and if there's anybody else that is that would be interested, Councillor Haggard would like to be interested in going. This is January 17th to the 19th. Is there anybody else on council that would like to go? If not, can I get a motion that council authorize Mayor Minions and Councillor Haggard to participate in the 79th Annual Truck Loggers Association? Councillor Patola.
Thank you. So moved, as stated.
And do we have a seconder? Second is Councillor Dame. And again, this authorization to be included reimbursement expenses incurred as a travel policy number 3009-2. Any other questions, comments on this? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And the next is the participation in the annual BC Economic Development Association. This does not have Mayor Minion's name in there, so I would assume that we are just looking for councillors at this point. Councillor Solda?
I would also like, I believe Councillor Patola would like to go, and I would like to add one more name, staff, and Councillor Haggard. And one more name too, I would like to see our CAO be, if budget allows, for him to attend the Economic Summit. It's a really informative summit, and it's really well worth to go.
Thank you, Councillor Solda. So at this time, it's just for us, for council, it'd be Councillor Patola, Councillor Haggard, and is there any other councillors? Sorry, Councillor Solda.
So then I will make a separate motion after this motion. Thank you.
Just maybe a point of clarification. I was actually going to leave that up to the CAO as it's his own budget. Maybe I can just ask Mr. Fox really quickly on how that procedure works.
Through the chair, if council wants me to go, I'll be there.
It's very simple. Councillor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering that if Councillor Solda was indicating she wished to attend as well.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I don't want to miss that. So at this time, I've got Councillor Solda, Councillor Patola, and Councillor Haggard to participate in the annual BC Economic Development Association Summit, Transforming Industries and Empowering Communities. This is May 6th to 9th in the beautiful community of Penticton. I'm not talking about their hockey team at all. Any other discussion on that? If not, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And Councillor Solda, did you want to make a separate motion for our CAO?
Yes. I would like our CAO to be, I don't know how the best way to attend the economic conference on May 6th and 9th, 2024 in Penticton, BC.
Do we have a seconder? This is Councillor Patola. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Peaches are good there. You'll enjoy it, Mr. Fox. It's a beautiful, beautiful community as well. Next up, we have BC Transit. It is a report dated November 6th. The Director of Finance requesting council authorization to enter into a vendor sale agreement with BC Transit. And we have a recommendation on the sheet. Maybe we could get some comment from staff, Mr. McGifford.
Yeah, Chair Mealy, this is pretty straightforward. What we have is a agreement that we need to enter in order to have the UMO platform used in the community for BC Transit. So we've already approved the amendment for the annual operating agreement with BC Transit. This is just the administrative component. So this might be something that we might seek some delegation of authority in the future. It's a very minor amendment to minor agreement. But what it is it's a 5-year agreement that council has to approve in order for us to proceed with the new platform.
Thank you very much, sir. Do we have any questions or comments? Councillor Patola.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just make the motion and after seconding, maybe if there's any discussion. But I move that the mayor and the corporate officer be authorized to execute the vendor sales agreement between BC Transit and the City of Port Alberni to permit implementation of the UMO fare technology for a 5-year term.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
I think Councillor Dame had his hand up, but I appreciate you, Councillor Haggard. Any discussion at all? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And we have late item, new business 3 from Councillor Solda. You had 3 items, Councillor Solda, so I will give you discretion on where you want to start.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like to know what's happening with 4th Avenue, just an update from the CAO so the public will know what's happening with the moving of the trailers and just to get an update.
Progress on 4th Avenue, Mr. Fox.
Thank you, and through the chair, I'm just looking up my last email here so I can give you accurate information on what's taking place there. Where is it?
No rush, Mr. Fox. Information is important.
I should have told you beforehand.
No,
Sorry.
that's okay. Surprises are good. It's okay. While we wait for Mr. Fox, I just want to say thank you for treating me very well here in the mayor's spot. So the meeting's not over yet, though. So,
Okay.
Mr. Fox.
Great. Thank you. So the Friendship Center on 8th, the tiny shelter is currently has 13 of the 19 homes occupied. They are also going to be keeping 1 in reserve in case of overflow, or if any unit is damaged or dirty or has to be cleaned, or other issues come along. Administration will continue to work with the Friendship Center and other agencies to make sure that there is a successful transition of people coming from accommodation that is not suitable. And we continue to work on that. We have had assurance that the adjacent property will follow all parameters of the agreement with the city, and the trailers will be vacated from the site.
So just a quick question regarding that. So how long does he have to have the trailers out of the property if he's not going to populate them? I'm assuming he would, or is he moving them out?
So through the chair, again, this is He has, I believe it's 40 days from the day of receiving the notice of the opening of the tiny homes. And we have seen some of the trailers already being moved off of site, and we have had assurance from the property owner.
All right, and another question regarding Fourth Avenue. Regarding the house, I know there had been a fire there in the past, and some of it's boarded up. So does he rent that out? Because I'm sure it's not up to standards.
Currently, the building is vacant and there is nobody staying in it.
That's it on that question. I don't know if anybody has any
Is
questions
there
on Fourth.
any questions on the Fourth Avenue subject? No. If not, Councillor Solly, go right ahead.
All right, so I'd like to touch the Port Pub, and just an update on the Port Pub. There's was recently a fire, and just concerned with the people that are in it and what's happening with that, and is there anything else we can do to help the people that are in those places, in that place?
Mr. Fox.
Thank you for the question. And through the chair, I'm not aware of a fire at the Port Pub. However, the fire department did respond there for some water damage and actually closed one of the suites until it can be remedied and to a health standard. So that has taken place. But the fire department responds on occasion to the site in support of BC Ambulance.
Okay, I misunderstood then. I thought it was a fire, so, okay, fair enough. And next is the squash court, or the racket club on Third Avenue. When you drive by, plastic is flying all over the place. There's no windows. We've had that issue with the Port Pub before. I'm not the Port Pub, sorry, the squash court. And can the city do anything? I mean, it looks pretty bad, and I wouldn't want to be the owner where the rain's going inside the building, and I can imagine what it would do for mold and stuff like that. So is there anything we can get it up to where he has to do the windows? Do we have anything? Or, I mean, it's been sitting like that for how many years, and it's still, I've harped on it before, it's not fair to the businesses that are around it. I mean, yeah, he did some work on the bottom, the owner did some work on the bottom, but it's still not completed. And then how long are we gonna wait for it to be completed? I'm just kind of curious, and I'm sure the public is too.
Mr. Fox.
Thank you for the question, and through the chair, I can't comment on the specific items, but I believe that the building permit is still open. I don't know for how long until the building permit becomes null and void and they would have to reapply. And I'm sure that our building inspection team would take into consideration any damage caused from the elements that are happening now with the plastic blowing around. But there is a process the city is following, and we are following it. I just don't have the timelines on me at this time.
Councillor Solda.
And the next one is the pool. Sorry, I have that's my end of my list, by the way. So at this moment. So the pool, there's a lot of controversy out there regarding the pool and the staffing and that, but what I want to talk about is I've had a lot of people reach out to me regarding the hours. We know we've closed the pool in certain hours during the week, but it's the weekend. Now that it's winter, the parents want to take their kids to the pool, and they want to do it, but they can't because it's closed. And is there any way we can look at our hours that it can be available for weekend use during the midday, so kids can go out and do the exercise? Because all we get right now is rain, so the kids can't do, there's not much other than staying in the house or if they want to get wet, but, which is, I know, ironic, it's the pool. But can we take a look at it? Like, we're not doing the swim lessons. Some of the swim lessons have been canceled, so can't we allocate staff to work on the weekends? If we can't give all the swim lessons, or we have to close the pool, just move some of the shifts, some of the hours. It's something to look into. I believe it benefits the kids and the families to spend family time together. Thank you.
Mr. Fox, if you like.
Thank you for the question. I don't have the specifics on me again, as I don't know the full runnings of the pool and how they decide which days are closed or open. If council would like us, you could direct us by a resolution to look into the hours and look with emphasis on weekends for staying open, and staff could do that. And if we can't, then we would bring a report back to council.
So I'd like to move that, that staff look at the hours and look at opening the pool on the weekends for families. Thank you.
Councillor Solda has made a motion. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Dame. So just if Cole's notes would just be to reevaluate the hours of operation for the pool and have some considerations of the weekend for our youth and families, okay? And any other discussion on that? Councillor Douglas.
Thank you. Yeah, I go to the pool 4 or 5 days a week, and there's been a lot of impact, not just on families, but on adults. And it may be maybe I've misunderstood, but my understanding so far is that the main issue is staffing, right, across the board on in many levels throughout the whole region, and that we need more staffing. In other words, specifically lifeguards. And so I think that's really the issue, that we need to address. Why have we allowed this situation to develop over a long, long period to the point where it's at now? I think if we go in and, as great as it is to have stuff for families and kids, we'll just be sort of stealing from, like, what's that one about Peter stealing from Paul? And, and then the one other group will be disadvantaged because they'll have to shift until we get the adequate staff to, fill all the needs at the pool. I really think that's where we need to go, and I'm kind of concerned that, we're asking for a report that's going to take up staff time, where we really, the main cause of the problem is staffing and a lack of adequate staffing, which really goes to the management end of our aquatic facility, and why we've allowed this develop and how can we get out of it. And I believe they're taking good moves to get out of it. But I'm just not sure how this particular motion, as much as I appreciate it, I'm not sure that it's really going to cause what the real problem is. I'm not sure it's really going to fix what we need to fix. That was just my comment. Thank you.
Councillor Solda?
I'm not asking it to be fixed. What I'm asking is just for the winter months. I would love to see the pool manager to come and talk to us at council and explain how it all works and the components and why we're where we are. I just find it really frustrating that the courses aren't being offered here. Like, you can take some courses, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can take some of the courses and then you have to go out of the community. And there's a lot of people that can't go out of the community to take the courses. I would love to see an instructor come in, or North Island College approach them and see how we could get some courses so we can have some people that are can get some education and be able to be lifeguards. And of course, there's a lot of concern out regarding the public, the hours and that, and for work. Like, do we work 1 hour, 2 hours? We're on call. Why would I want to do that? Back in the day when I was a teenager, pool job was everybody wanted the pool job because it was work and it was good money. And you couldn't get a job, and now look at it. The doors are open. And I've heard from the public too that a lot of them go to, why has Nanaimo got so many people to be lifeguards? And they go to Nanaimo because it's open. And I just look at it, in the meantime, let's have some for the families so they have family time. I know it affects seniors. It affects so many people. I get lot of calls on the pool at night, or why are we, a school comes in and now we're shuffled out of the pool and we have to be way over there, and why can't we have part of the pool? But, so there's a lot of tentacles out there for the pool, and I'm just fixing one little, at this moment, wanting families to have some family time in our pool, and that's all it is. The parents work during the weekdays, so they can't go and the kids go to school, so why not let them have some time in the pool on the weekends? So we're not asking for the summer, because there's the lake then. So that's where I'm heading at.
Councillor Douglas.
Thank you. And I can't express enough how much, Councillor Sola, I appreciate you bringing this up. It's a really good topic. And I tell you, like, sometimes I barely get out of that change room alive from the people. You know, I mean, they're wonderful people, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of people that are perturbed about one thing or another. And I have encouraged, actually, patrons of the pool to please come here. We used to have quite a large contingent of pool patrons that would come here on a regular basis. And, you know, I'd really like to see that again. But I agree with everything you're saying, Councillor Solda, and particularly, you know, out of this conversation, I would really appreciate having, you know, one of our managers come here and explain and consider some options, such as, for example, one of my family members wanted to become a lifeguard here, and she had to go to Courtney to get her first aid ticket, and then she was going to have to go to the Lower Mainland and spend a couple of weeks either in Coquitlam or Surrey, I think, and it's going to cost a couple of $1,000s at least to get the certification necessary. So instead, she's opted to move to another community. So yeah, the matter of availability of instruction. And then the other issue was the actual employment issue. You know, there are rumors that when they hire staff, they only allow them to work a certain number of hours, because if they work, say, over a certain amount every week, then they're full-time and need benefits, and they discourage that. Apparently, these are rumors that would be laid to rest if we did have, you know, the appearance of somebody here to speak to it from an operational point of view. So I'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Suggestion maybe perhaps that if that is what council would like to do, to hear from that level of staff, to have that at a committee of the whole meeting. So if that's what council wants to do, we can have that at a committee of the whole meeting in the future. The motion on the floor is for staff to, in a sense, reevaluate the hours. So at this point, that's the motion on the floor. If it would continue on, Councillor Dame.
Yeah, thank you. As the seconder of that motion, I think that I would now, after this discussion, prefer to wait until after we have that committee of the whole conversation to then decide if we want to rearrange the hours and receive a report. Yeah.
Councillor Solda.
I think we should move on this. By that time, we're going to have other discussions about staffing and education. That's what we were talking about. To me, that would be great in the committee of the whole. Right now, we're talking about hours. If we wait too long, and by the time that all happens, winter's over. So I would like to see us move on it. School's going to be out. Kids want the weekends. They need to do something. And I believe this is, we talk about fitness and everything. This is a good opportunity for them to have the fitness. And we were really pushing a few years back about fitness. That was really big, and we have all these plans and everything for kids to move and get off the computers, get off just watching TV, and get them mobile. And it's not just kids, it's the adults that would be with them in most cases. So I believe we should continue on with this course and get the reports, but have a committee of the whole on staffing as well as education component of it. So I would rather move forward than wait.
All right, thank you, Councillor Solda. Mr. Fox?
Through the chair, I want to make sure the council understands that we are open on Saturdays. It is closed on Sundays. So it would be about rearranging the hours to allow some hours on Sunday is what I'm understanding the motion as.
That's what I get as well. So just a report to bring that back. And again, once we're done with this, I'm pretty sure I can make a subsequent motion for the committee, the whole meeting. So, so on the motion as it is on the floor, is there any other discussion? No? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried, so we'll get that. I will move that let's see here. Actually, what we can do is I move that we can receive that information at a future committee of the whole meeting, but we also invite staff to come from the pool to present to council at a committee of the whole meeting on the current situation. Councilor Patola?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would second that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Patola. I appreciate that. Any discussion on that as well? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Solda. Appreciate that. If there is no other new business at this time, it is now time for question period. An opportunity for the public to ask questions of council on decisions or recommendations made during the course of this meeting. Is there any member of the public that would like to step forward? Please don't be shy. Yes, that's all right. Well, we appreciate everybody for tuning in online on YouTube as well. So council has to go back into in camera. So at this point, I'm looking for a motion to, sorry, Councillor Douglas.
Sorry, Chair. I dropped the ball at the beginning of the meeting, and I was hoping I could squeeze in a short notice of motion for our next council meeting, if council is okay with that.
A notice of motion, you say? As long as it's not a motion, I
Just
think
a
I'll take a
notice
notice of
of
motion. Yes,
motion.
sir.
Yeah. The notice of motion, the background is the city has in past years commissioned assessments and plans for redecking the existing pier. So the notice of motion, and I can provide a copy to our staff, would request staff to review those assessments and plans investigating resurfacing the existing pier at Canal Tepas Beach with the purpose of inclusion in the 2024 budget for implementation. So that would be the notice of motion.
And if you could supply it to staff, that'd be great.
Thank you.
That is a notice of motion. Anything else today, ladies and gentlemen? A motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Solda, second. Councillor Dame, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Wonderful meeting.